Why didn't your hair grow?
Because unlike a half-breed, a pure-blooded Saiyan's hair does not change from the day we are born, with the exceptions of beards and mustaches. Mustache, 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 mustache.
Welcome to the Pro Wrestling Unbound podcast. The Killjoy is back. He's with Rainbow Yaz and Kermit. We're going to be running down some wrestling news and Lucha Underground's Ultima Lucha. Yaz, what's up, man? What have you been up to as far as pro wrestling goes?
Definitely digging on the awesomeness that was Ultima Lucha, like top to bottom. One of the best shows I've ever seen. So definitely can't wait to talk about that.
What about you, Kermit? What you been watching lately?
Just a little WWE. I went to a Raw not too long ago. It was here in Oklahoma City. I don't venture too far out. I'm kind of a casual fan, so just WWE.
What was the reason show that one, the Oklahoma show? What was the main event?
The main event was Seth Rollins and John Cena, where John Cena got his nose broke.
Oh,
it was sweet.
There.
Yeah, he was bleeding all over the canvas.
That is so awesome. Yeah, well, we'll get to John Cena a little bit because first of all, I wanted to talk about Hulk fucking Hogan.
It even says Hulk fucking Hogan.
In the script, yeah.
That's exactly how it reads right there. My God, I can't believe people support this guy. Listen, I get that he's just being ignorant and all that, and he didn't mean it, I guess. But he clearly needs help. Because the stuff this guy said about his own daughter, his son, black people, and Jamie Foxx. What did Jamie Foxx ever do to Hulk Hogan? And not only that, but all this stuff with Hogan Knows His Best, how insanely ew he was about his daughter. Get this guy some help.
Yeah, and the worst part is he's just basically denying that he did anything wrong on like Twitter. And I mean, I haven't checked his Twitter account because I don't follow Hulk Hogan, but I know at least last week or whenever it happened, he was basically playing the Defense Act.
Oh no, it's far worse than that. He was retweeting these guys that were allegedly supporting him and saying, "We support you, Ho. We know he didn't mean what you said." And the pictures were actually soccer players from the UK.
Yeah, I did see that. Someone sent him like a picture like, "Hey, me and my dad support you," and it was a picture of like Drake and some other guy, like the rapper Drake. And Hulk Hogan's like, "Oh, I'm gonna retweet this."
Oh my God.
I'm not racist. People are tweeting me pictures of black people.
Oh my God. Yeah, as if I were to ask you about all this, what do you think?
You know, it's hard because, you know, I'm in my mid-20s, so I watched Hogan growing up, and you see this guy that you used to root for, and it turns out that he's kind of a piece of shit. It's hard, you know. Obviously, what he said, it's pretty bad. It's not the worst thing in the world, and I do think WWE is overreacting a bit as far as like, oh, we gotta completely scrub him out. But I mean, when you're caught on record saying like some of the things that he said, you have no choice but to take action.
Well, here's the problem with what WWE did, because basically what Hogan did was when he came back, it was during the Gawker lawsuit thing. I would assume WWE asked him, you know, is this all that's going on? Is this lawsuit going to go through? And then it turns out the dude was racist in the sex video too. So yeah, I get that WWE just completely took him off and it completely erased him. I mean, they lost like $50 million by the next day. So it makes sense, at least from my point of view, it makes sense that he was just gone, at least for some time, because he's already back up.
Yeah, their stock has been doing pretty well since they went into, damage control.
Yeah. So, I wouldn't criticize what WWE did, what Hogan did. But come on, dude. You gotta pick up your personal life. Kermit, go ahead.
No, I give full credit to WWE because, I mean, they have a employee base and a lot of, and just in general, the fact that, you know, they have one of their long-standing members turns out to have these racist rants, and even if it was, you know, people get angry, but there's no excuse for racism, and the fact that does not seem to be sorry or apologetic at all, it makes it even worse. And so, kudos to them for acting quick and you know, being concerned with the people that he's offending and the fact that it's not okay.
Yeah, and just critical people in general, because I've heard people comparing it to the Vince McMahon scene from Survivor Series 2005. And first of all, that was just a comical bit, and it was clear that Vince was just being ignorant, and it was all a big rip on Booker T. Anyway, and there was also the comparison to Michael Hayes when he used the N-word on Mark Henry. Well, that was an isolated case, and it wasn't public. It wasn't a public issue. So the Hulk Hogan is a public issue.
Michael Hayes is a piece of crap.
Well, everyone knows that, yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of not the most awesome guy in the world.
I mean, his punishment in life is being a piece of crap. So
his punishment in life is having to be Michael Hayes.
So, I mean, I'm not trying to make light of that situation or anything, but you know, Hulk Hogan, you know, eat your vitamins, say your prayers type of guy, a face of a company for several years, and still one of the most recognizable superstars, if not the most recognizable superstar of all time. You know, so I don't know what to say.
Yeah,
the bigger the power, or the bigger the name, the harder you're gonna fall.
Yeah, the stuff he said, even in person, what kind of pillow talk was he having that brought out this crazy racist rant?
Yeah, that's the thing that kind of gets me the most is these comments came like right after, you know, like he got done having sex with like his best friend's wife. So it's like, man, how like bad was her performance that the first thing you think of is disparaging remarks against the black community?
Grief, yet that's a completely different scenario. Weird. Hulk, what the hell's wrong with you, brother?
Like you said, like he instantly started talking about his daughter, and like when you watched Hogan Knows Best, he had like this borderline incestuous relationship with her anyway.
Yeah, his new wife looks just like his daughter.
Let me ask you this, guys. I know we're not psychologists or anything of the matter or scientists, but does this have anything to do with, like, I'm not trying to make this as an excuse or anything, but are we seeing anything like concussion based, like from years of taking bumps in the ring, an old man who's belligerent and slipping in the mind? Like, is this the start of that for Hogan? Like, is obviously more has already came out since the initial report. You know, is this the start of belligerent Hogan who's never going to get better?
That's a crazy thought, right? It could even be age.
Yeah, he's 61, and that's not really the worst theory in the world. I don't personally think it has to do with the bumps he took, because I don't really remember Hogan taking too many crazy bumps. But you know, that's definitely a theory. When you look at, you know, what's happened to other pro wrestlers as they've aged due to like the abuse they put their bodies through and their mental health, you know, that's not the worst theory that's been presented.
Yeah, but I've seen wrestlers take far worse in their careers and be perfectly fine. So
yeah,
it could probably be age. Although at the same time, it's Hulk Hogan, who's been known for his best backstage antics, keeping people down and all that.
It's really interesting that we've heard all these years about Macho Man and others said that Hogan was a piece of crap backstage and they don't like Hogan, and then now we're seeing, you know, everyone was kind of on the fence, like, oh, they're just jealous, or I bet Hogan really is a bad dude, and then stuff like this comes out, and you kind of start piecing some stuff together.
Yeah, and it's a shame too.
Yeah, everyone. I think a lot of people are very just upset to see the guy that they used to idolize, turn out to be, a big dookie head. And I don't, everyone but Bret Hart. Bret Hart hates friggin' Hulk Hogan, so he's been having a field day.
Yeah, Bret hates everyone.
Bret pretty much hates everyone who's not Bret Hart or someone from Canada.
4 out of 10 for everyone.
Yeah.
4 out of 10.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much it for Hulk Hogan. Dude, you got to get some help. Not support, we got to get you some help for that life of yours. You can do it, brother. But moving on with our topics, we've got Ryback, John Cena, and Sheamus. They're all hurt. I don't know what happened to Sheamus. Paleness, I guess. Cena had a broken nose, like Kermit told us. He was there, and that was awesome. And Ryback had a staph infection as big as his bald head.
Yeah, I saw a picture of his knee and I think his upper thigh area. It's nasty how big it's swollen up because of that staph infection.
Yeah, that's pretty scary stuff. I wonder if he got a CPAP for his treatment.
He's been very complimentary of the WWE doctors, so, I wonder how much of that is like, hey, screw you, punk, and I wonder how much of it is genuine, like, hey, the doctors have been very nice to me.
It's a good question, but...
Well, I'm sure the doctors in general are probably a little more on their toes, just because I know it's been, what has it been, God, has it been 2 years now since Punk's been gone?
Almost, yeah.
Dang, wow, but, I mean, I feel like there was some type of, even if it wasn't true from Punk's end, there was some type of revision or, revamp of their procedures. Just some cleanup in general.
Yeah, and the problem with the Punk thing is he was on live TV with that bump in his back. You can't really fake that.
Yeah.
And we know he also shit his pants on SmackDown.
Can't fake that either.
So, something was surely wrong there.
Psycho Sid shit his pants one time.
Oh, yeah.
Then he broke his leg.
Oh, that was...
It's like cringeworthy to watch, but it's funny, but it's not. Like, I feel so bad. People are like, oh, Sid, you got to expand your moveset. Use top rope moves. Like, I'm 7 feet tall and 300 pounds. What do you expect out of me? Give me some flying headbutts. So he tries to do top rope move and he breaks his leg and pretty much ruins his career.
It's awful. Have you seen? That's pretty bad. But have you seen the one where Vader eye pops out?
Oh.
Yep.
Oh. Yeah.
He keeps on wrestling.
Yeah,
Crazy,
Vader
man.
kind of earned some respect points for me for that because Vader's kind of a big fat turd, and he just works stiff and beats the crap out of everyone. But he definitely earned some tough guy points for real to keep going with his eye popped out of socket.
I'll be honest though, if I were to suffer some sort of injury like that in a match, depending on the level of injury, I would stop. Because it's my career and I want to keep going in the future.
You remember back when Del Rio and Sin Cara were wrestling each other every other week, and Sin Cara broke his finger and immediately called for the doctor or for the ref to come over?
And Del Rio just went and beat this shit out of him. Yeah.
They've been, I know we're going to talk about Triple Mania a bit later, but hasn't Del Rio been, like, talking some shit on Twitter about, like, oh, what he's going to do when he gets his hands on him?
Well, from what I understand, they've been pretty cool since they're now in the same locker room again. So maybe it's just fun in Twitter. But yeah, that was a crazy one. So how long exactly did Cena keep going after the match? Did Kermit, did they have a dark match after that or something? Or did he just head out?
There was a pre-advertised dark match with Cena, Orton, and I believe Rollins and Kevin Owens, but it didn't happen obviously because of the broken nose. And I believe he broke it fairly early on in the match, or at least the middle of it. And he worked the rest of it. I thought, like, from my position where I was sitting in the arena, I thought at first it was he got nicked on his shoulder somehow, and because there was blood, everywhere pouring, and 2 times, I don't know how much you could see on camera, but 2 times he kind of went over to the ropes, and the medic came in and patched him up, had him patch him up twice because of how much blood was pouring out.
Man, that was insane. I would have liked it if it had been like the longest yard with Bob Sapp. He just twists his nose back together.
You broke it in my nose.
You broke it in my nose.
I kind of hope we get Cena coming out with like a shattered, mask gimmick.
The Cody Rhodes gimmick, yeah.
Yeah. Probably not though. But I can dream.
Well, I'm still wondering what happened to Sheamus. Because allegedly he's hurt, but we don't know why.
Where? I did not actually see that. Is it news today?
It's recently, yeah. So
yeah, like he's he got taken off the Australian tour and got replaced by Barrett.
Yeah, so that's weird. I know the last I heard of him was the whole plane emergency landing thing. So I'd hate to think he got injured there. Probably.
I think he's been on TV. Yeah, he was on TV since then because he was in the main event of Raw Monday night.
Well, we don't know what's going on there. All we know is pretty much all the mid-card guys are gone. There's basically no mid-card to focus on. There's no titles, and even Money in the Bank is gone. So
yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. That's what happens when you don't treat your mid-card right. You got no one to substitute with.
You could put Kofi Kingston in there. He can do it all.
He is the guy, and he has done it here in the WWE, as Booker T will tell you. Yeah, well, basically, because on top of these guys, we still got Daniel Bryan, who's we don't know yet. And Dolph Ziggler's out of TV.
Yeah, I don't really mind that one, though.
If you think if Ryback, Cena, and Sheamus all have to miss SummerSlam, is that a possibility?
Well, Ryback is advertised right now for a 3-way. Okay. But Cena and Sheamus are in question. Personally, I don't want Cena versus Rollins, but we'll get to that match later. We did have another broken nose. This one was from an NXT girl. Her name was Billie Kay, who's from Australia. She used to be known as Jessie McKay, and she also got a broken nose, and they had to stop her match. She wasn't happy about it. No, she wanted to pull a Cena.
Heard about that. I give credit. If I've never broken a bone, so I can't relate to what that feels like. But I have to imagine that if I broke my nose, I would not feel like continued wrestling.
I think the worst I've taken is barbed wire, but broken bone has to be far worse. Especially your nose, because that's breathing. It would literally hurt to breathe.
Exactly.
Yeah, that'd be awful.
Would it work from the mouth, though? Would you be able to breathe right?
I don't know.
We're not doctors here. Well, going from injuries, we've also got some pretty sad deaths this year. We've had actually quite a fight of notable ones. We've had Perro Aguayo, that one had me to tears. Buddy Landell, Vern Gagne, and Tim Arson, another guy who I actually knew him. But the most notable ones were Dusty and Piper. And I wanted to get your guys' thoughts. Dusty Rhodes. Yaz, do you have memories about Dusty Rhodes?
Yeah, Dusty, like, being a fellow fatty, Dusty was really kind of an icon for me because, he would go out there and make a fool of himself, and, that was my life growing up, too. It's like, you're trying to gain acceptance, and what better way to do that than, to be the little fat kid who goes out there and just makes a fool of himself. So, in that regard, he was definitely a bit of an idol. But when you go back through the miracle of the WWE Network and just watch like some of the matches that he was in his heyday, he did things that were just magical. He was so good when he had a microphone in his hand. So many memorable promos, and I know that we covered the Fed earlier in the other podcast, but there's definitely some Dusty Rhodes in Mikey Stormrage. So, that one hit me kind of hard.
Yeah, he was really awesome. Great baby face. Kermit, you have memories?
Oh yeah, anybody that watches wrestling from a young age have seen these two guys, make appearances, know their history to an extent. So, yeah, definitely will be missed. It kind of makes me feel, I don't know, I'm not trying to be all deep and stuff, but it makes me feel a little older and a little more immortal whenever I see icons of the past pass away. And for these two, fairly, 60, I believe, somewhere between the 60 and 70 range for both of them. It's still pretty young. I know people that live much older, but I guess for a wrestler, I don't know, it could be about an average age. But I don't know, just sad to see people grow up watching, pass away, and the even sadder part is that this is only the beginning as far as getting older. So I'm not trying to be morbid or anything, but I don't know, it makes you look at life differently.
Yeah, it's a real shame because I didn't get to follow their careers much, but from what I've heard, what I've managed to pull out and see, Dusty was just a man on the microphone. He was a hell of a baby face. He could just do it all to get you to care about him. And then on the other side, we had Piper, who, this is how great of a heel he was. He was a heel for like a couple of years in the NWA, and then from 1984 to 1987. And people remember that short time frame. That's what Piper's knows for. They always say, "Oh, he's such a great heel." He was a heel for a very short time in his career, actually, when you think about it. Well, Yaz, I'll let you go ahead. What are your thoughts on Roddy Piper and his hell of a run?
Yeah, he did make a great heel. I remember if you watch some of the memorial packages that the WWE and various promotions have put together, you'll see fans throwing trash at him as he makes his way to the ring, which is something you just don't see anymore. I always a bit nostalgic whenever I think back to my childhood and going to local shows, and you would see like they would bring in like a guy, I never got the pleasure to see a guy like Piper, but they would bring in someone like Jerry Lawler or Bill Dundee, and when they played the heel, they'd be showered in garbage because that's what you did to heels. So Piper, he got that in spades. He was so good at it. But he transcended wrestling. He managed to find solid work as an actor, especially when They Live, which I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's one of those movies that it's not a classic because it's great, but it's so like it's bad that it's so bad that it's good. And Piper just plays his character so excellently. Just a badass killing aliens.
Yeah, people remember her for that one role too. So again,
Yeah.
as an actor, you made an impact real fast. Kermit, do you have memories of the Rowdy one?
Oh yeah, and yeah, I remember watching the Rock and Roll Wrestling cartoon show. I believe that's the name of it.
Rock and Wrestling.
Yeah, and I remember Piper was like the main bad guy opposed to Hogan. Was the leader of the pack with the Iron Sheik and Nikolai, and so I remember watching that at a young age and just really enjoyed his character, enjoyed the person. He always seemed like a pretty genuine guy, and so again, same thing I said about Dusty as far as just being sad, and I don't know.
We'll always remember what these guys did because what they did was just phenomenal. And we appreciate a lot of it. But
Yeah, they definitely paved the way for the guys that we watch now, and they'll sorely be missed.
But let's cheer up. Apollo Crews. is the new ring name for Uha Nation, as he used to be known in PWG and the other independent promotions. I don't know if you guys knew this, but it comes from Apollo Creed and Terry Crews. Clever.
Yeah, I remember when I heard the news that's the name that he was going to use. I kind of laughed a little bit. But he definitely looks a bit like Terry Crews, so I can definitely see why they picked that name. But from what I've seen of him during his time in Dragon Gate and other various indie promotions, like he's a very unique talent. You know, he's a guy who he's very stocky. Like he doesn't look like, you know, he's not like a huge like Bray Wyatt fat guy, but like he's kind of up there around like 260, 270, and he does like flips, and he
does some crazy athletic stuff.
Yeah, and he complements that with still using like power moves that a guy of his build would use. So I definitely look forward to what he's going to do in NXT, and then hopefully in a few years on the main roster.
He's got some pretty high standards because Apollo Creed and Terry Crews, incredibly charismatic guys.
Oh yeah.
Kermit, have you seen any of his work?
I kind of looked him up whenever he got signed and seen some of the promo videos of him playing for NXT, and he looks great. He looks like a guy that could really, you know, you see all the time on the forum, a bunch of people saying, "Oh, why are there not, you know, why has there never been an African American WWE champion?" In which they're wrong, because The Rock, Booker T, or world champion, I should say. But he seems like a guy that does great ring work and also just has a really good look about him as far as what I feel like Vince will like to see in a wrestler that he would like to push. So hopefully he goes fairly far. I'm not completely sold on the name. I immediately think of Terry Crews, and then I think of Making My Way Downtown, White Chicks. So,
oh my god.
but I hope he does well. I'm excited to see what he brings to NXT, because I know a lot of the guys like Kevin Owens and hopefully Sami Zayn eventually will get pulled up. Hopefully he can go in and kind of fill the void that some of those fan favorites will leave when they get pulled up to the main roster.
Yeah, that's kind of NXT works. They're going to be rotating names. So we're hoping the best for her, Apollo Crews. You already got the thumbs up from Terry Crews. So we'll see how that goes. We've got SummerSlam coming up, and the main events seem to... Well, one is dead set in stone. The other one, though, it's up in the air because of broken nose. We got Cena versus Rollins, title for title. This seems oddly familiar. ROH did this like last month.
Yeah, and unfortunately Jay Lethal won.
Ugh. Ric Flair knockoff. Personally, I don't want this match. Particularly because Cena's supposed to be the guy to like refresh the mid-card. And he was doing such an awesome job with the title challenges, and he could still do that if they go with some sort of screwy ending and keep the titles on each guy, making this match completely pointless. But it defeats the purpose. It's SummerSlam. You should have a big mid-card guy going up against John Cena like you did with Kevin Owens. And that's not the case now, because he's got to be in the main event. Kermit, what do you think of this match?
I don't really know what to think. I was kind of hoping they were going to go with a Cena, Owens, Rusev, Cesaro four-way initially, but you know they went this route. Obviously, I don't know. I don't see it ending in anything other than a DQ, because I don't see one or the other taking both titles. Not even Cena. So I don't know. I'm more curious about who causes the DQ than anything else.
Or maybe, who knows, Sheamus comes in and pulls the same thing Rollins did at WrestleMania.
Don't put that evil on us.
Yeah, I'm sure Blade would be happy, but
Blade
I
would be
just
happy.
I don't want Sheamus anywhere near that title.
Oh, we gotta do something with that briefcase. They decided to give it to him.
Give it to Orton. Have Orton beat him for it.
Oh, that would mean Orton versus Sheamus again. Oh, my.
Hey, if it takes away the briefcase, it's fine with me.
Oh, it's just a vicious circle, the same old crap. Guys, what do you think of the match?
As far as what the two guys can like put together, I fully expect it to be a very good, very entertaining match. But like both of you have said, I really can't see it ending in anything other than like a disqualification or some sort of count out, something where the titles won't change hands. And I think that definitely at a big pay-per-view like SummerSlam, which is really WWE's number 2 show, you need to have a match for the world title, have a definitive finish. And I just don't see that happening. Like Kermit had said, the whole Cena, Owens, Rusev, Cesaro thing could have worked very well, but I remember reading some rumors that after Owens beat Cena back at Elimination Chamber or Battleground or whatever pay-per-view he first beat.
The first one.
Yeah, the first time he beat him, that Cena's merch sales took a big hit. So Vince went into panic mode and had to put Cena back on top, which I can totally see Vince McMahon doing. But I would much rather prefer someone like Roman Reigns or even Dean Ambrose going up against Rollins again, even if Rollins retains, because I think what Cena has been doing for the U.S. title has really improved the prestige of a title that for a very long time had been stale. He's constantly putting on very solid matches with a variety of different guys on the roster. And I think the guy who finally does beat him for that title is going to get a pretty big rub. And a guy like Owens or Rusev or, Cesaro or even, someone who is not currently in the title picture, they could take that title off him and it could really jumpstart their career or, restart their career if it's a veteran. So, it's not a match I'm really looking forward to as far as the build and the story. I mean, there's no doubt they'll put on an entertaining match, and it'll probably be match of the night. But like I said, the story surrounding it, I'm not a fan of.
Yeah, when I think of the U.S. title, I think of New Japan's Intercontinental title. That thing is capable of headlining pay-per-views, and it does, actually, most of the year. And I thought they could do the same thing with John Cena and the U.S. title, but now we've got him with the world champion, and it beats the purpose. Makes it pointless. So sadly, we're going to have to hit with this title-for-title match. I don't know if they're doing it because of what ROH did, which would suck even more. So yeah, we're in agreement. We're not a fan of the match. None of us are. The other main event is Lesnar versus The Undertaker. And I love this from the very moment it was teased. When The Undertaker showed up, it was done so well, and it brought so much nostalgia to me. The beatdown between the two the next day on Raw, it was just fantastic. Kermit, sadly they weren't there in the building when you were in Oklahoma City, right?
No, they weren't. It kind of pissed me off. But they don't ever give Oklahoma City anything good. They back in the early 2000s, they had all those cash-ins. I think they had 2 or 3 cash-ins in Oklahoma, and that was actually whenever I tuned out of wrestling during high school and whatnot. But no, I'm really excited for this match. Basically, mainly because it's Taker's first time outside of WrestleMania in quite a while. I think since the Nexus angle, and so I'm excited for it. The brawl was awesome. I don't know what to expect, and I like that when I watch a match. So I don't know who's going to go over. I don't know what's going to happen. And so
who would you want to go over?
Who do I want to go over? I I do not. Oh man, who do I want? Man, it's a tough question. I would say probably if I had to choose Lesnar, I guess.
Lesnar, do you think they'll go for the third match at WrestleMania?
God, I hope not. If Taker wins, maybe. But if Lesnar wins, then I don't think so. I think the reason why I say Lesnar is because I think he has turned into a Taker-ish figure as far as being a huge obstacle to defeat versus like the world title. Like it's an accomplishment in itself to beat Lesnar at this point, and Lesnar beating Taker again, and just kind of, I don't know, maintains that a little more for me. So,
Yaz, what do you think of the match?
I enjoyed the build. Like you guys said, the brawl that they had that took the entire locker room to separate them, it was done very nicely. I loved the line where Lesnar said, "I'm going to kill you," and Undertaker responds with, "You're going to have to." Like, that was just perfect. It really, they've done a good job with Paul Heyman defending Lesnar and talking. Like, one thing Paul Heyman does very well is he's very good at talking up Lesnar's opponents and making them seem great, which is, admittedly, with Undertaker, that's a pretty easy job, but he makes Undertaker feel even larger than life than he truly is. So they've done a great job with the build. The only thing I'm concerned about is if Undertaker potentially wins, then it sort of plays into what I said with Cena losing. When Cena eventually loses the U.S. title, when someone eventually beats Lesnar, it's going to be a huge rub. So, I think for the sake of the future, Lesnar needs to go over the Undertaker. But because Vince McMahon and his team seem to only think in the short term, I wouldn't be shocked to see Undertaker go over. But overall, I'm happy to see a guy I grew up watching in The Undertaker at a pay-per-view that's not WrestleMania for the first time in like 5 years.
You gotta push that young up-and-comer Undertaker. He's really something.
Yeah.
He really needs the rub, man.
Yeah, well, Brock Lesnar's young too. I mean, how into his career is he been?
Well, I mean, he's only like 37, 38.
Yeah, he's a lot more longevity than Taker at this point because also his schedule is so limited that he could be doing this for years.
Yeah, it's always bothered me on the sketchbook because I think it's like 30 appearances per year or something like that. It'd be so easy to just book them in the papers and that's it.
But let me ask you this though, and I know Taker was around a lot longer than Lesnar was, but Lesnar used to be on the roster, full time, and now in these last few years, he's done more appearances than Taker has, and everyone loves Taker and whatnot. So what's so bad? I mean, I understand like him holding the title and not showing up all the time, but like, where do you draw the line compared to like Taker showing up just for Mania and Lesnar showing up 4 or 5 pay-per-views a year?
I think for me it is that they could do so much more with Lesnar because, well, he hasn't been around that long. I know that they treat him like a special attraction, but sometimes they get to a point where he's just gone for months and months, and that just shows up.
Yeah, I can see that, but...
Yeah, so the use of Brock Lesnar, I think, should be better spread out throughout the year.
Yeah. Well, they put him on Battleground. I mean, who thought that was going to mean anything other than whenever it was spoiled by, certain people. But, I mean, for me, the fact that he was on Battleground, I was like, why is he on this crappy pay-per-view?
Yeah, but he's always, say, around the summertime, WrestleMania time, and around the Rumble. But other than that, he's not around.
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying.
So I just think you could spread it out a little better.
So you want Lesnar to be spread eagle, is what you're saying?
Yeah, think me
With
spread
marbles.
eagle. Oh, we're going back to that.
It's a little Oh, I forgot these are going to be separated. So
Check out the WCCW podcast for the full context of that joke. But moving out of WWE for a little bit, we're not going to talk about this one for long because we've already covered our thoughts of the G1. If you don't know what it is, it's basically a 19-day tournament with roundabout matches. Guys pick up points depending on whether they win or draw or lose. And last podcast I was complaining about why do we need this overly complicated tournament? And then I realized why. This is the same place that came up with the Pokemon League, the Dragon Ball Z's Tenkaichi Budokai tournament, the Otherworld tournament from Yu Yu Hakusho, the G Gundam tournament of what else? The Shaman fight from Shaman King of
Naruto.
yeah, the
tuning exams.
the tuning exams, the Ultimate Muscle tournaments, the Duelist Kingdom, the Battle City. It's all these guys do is tournaments. Why did I not catch this last time? And well, the fact that this one is so compressed to like 19 days and like less than 2 months. Well, now Shinsuke Nakamura apparently has an elbow injury. And the dude's awesome. He shouldn't be hurt. But he is. Yaz, you're a big fan of Nakamura. What do you think about the injury?
I think the only way that Nakamura would ever have lost to Michael Elgin is due to that elbow injury. So that's definitely, it's not a knock against Elgin. Elgin's pretty solid in his own right. But, it sucks to see Nakamura hurt because that robs you of, the potential awesome clash of Styles and Nakamura in the Block A and B final. So
Yeah, and you always hear about how really structured these shows are and how one injury could throw it all up the wayside. Well, here's your consequence for it. I don't really think they need 19 shows in 2 freaking months. Kermit, if I were to tell you a tournament like that in such a short time, what do you think?
So there's 19 participants.
No, 19 days.
19 days, and how many participants are there?
I believe
Sorry,
21.
I'm not familiar.
21, I think.
21. Man, that's like... It's a long time. I mean, I guess it's going to be like basically a pay-per-view cycle, so... I don't know. It's not the worst thing in the world. They're basically treating it like a playoff system. That's what I would compare it to.
Yeah, it's a tournament from Japan, and when you think about all the tournaments I mentioned before, they kind of spread out. You see them 1 week, one match, 1 week, another match. No, these are a ton of matches in 19 days, and to me that's just way too much, way too fast.
Yeah. No, I see that.
And, well, now they're paying the price. But that's not the only major stuff going on, because we've also got Triple Mania tomorrow. I still have to buy that pay-per-view. Pay for it because I want to watch it. Any of you guys watching it by any chance?
I'll watch through nefarious means.
I'm hoping you can find that because I don't think they have it.
I know Rey Mysterio Jr. is fighting Mystezies, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, former Sin Cara, Botch Cara, whatever you want to call him. He's been a hell of a lot better in AAA. So that'll be a great match. That's the main event. Rey Mysterio and Mysticis. This was supposed to be a match at WrestleMania. They were trying to break some sort of record with their masks or something like that.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Actually, the theme of this pay-per-view is Mission Impossible because they're actually partnering with Paramount Pictures to promote the movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Mysterio's supposed to have like a special entrance, isn't he?
Yeah. The last pay-per-view, they had Rey Mysterio basically painted up like a Terminator to promote the Genesis movie.
Mm.
He looked a hell of a lot better than Triple H.
I hated that entrance so bad.
It looks so stupid.
I think it would have been better if it was inside.
Yeah. And we wouldn't have Bray Wyatt and The Undertaker coming out under the sun, looking like an episode of Teletubbies. The next match on that show is Brian Cage from Lucha Underground, who the dude has been made to look awesome, and he's taking on Alberto Patron in a hair versus hair match. This is weird booking because in AAA, I don't know if it's some sort of athletic commission thing, but after 2 title matches, if you don't win, you don't get a third match. So this is hair versus hair. That's a weird match. Brian Cage has been covering Alberto with the U.S. flag, which is a big no-no down there. So we'll see how that match goes. I'm predicting a bald Brian Cage for season 2 of Lucha Underground. The next match on the card makes me incredibly mad because it is celebrating 30 years of Blue fucking Demon Jr.
No one hates Blue Demon like Killjoy.
I've grown to loathe this man. He is teaming up with La Parca, the second one, to take on my man, El Macias, Ricky Banderas, and Electroshock. And these 4 were last year's Triple Mania inside a Cage of Death, where no one died. Sorry about that. And the previous year, Macias and Blue Demon were in a match for the Latin American Championship, where, of course, Blue Demon wins. Oh, I hate you, Blue Demon. You're an ass clown. Speaking of clowns, the next match is the Villanos. Oh my god. You guys remember him from WCW?
I do not. Let me Google them up though.
They were basically cruiserweights, and they're taking on the Psycho Circus, who they really should be in Lucha Underground. It's a trios match, 3 versus 3, and Villano 3 is retiring, along with the referee. And damn it to hell, every time I say Villano, it sounds like vagina.
It does a little bit. Vajanos and marbles.
This has been just a sick podcast.
Are they still wearing these crappy purple uniforms?
Yep.
All right, then.
Sucks to be sick. My God.
Well, the next match after that is the AAA World Trios Tag Team Championship. Los Hell Brothers versus Jack Evans, Angelico, and Phoenix versus Pentagon Jr., Hijo del Fantasma, and El Texicano Jr.
Thank you for covering me, Kermit.
The only thing you did was it's Tejano, not Texano.
All right, well, I'm just going to kill myself.
And Hijo del Fantasma. This match has a ton of gold because, let's see, where do we go? Phoenix has the Gift of the Gods title from Lucha Underground.
Yep.
Pentagon has the Mixed Tag Team and World Tag Team titles with him. And Hijo del Fantasma is the Cruiserweight World Champion. Chessman is the Latin American Champion. Tejano is the King of Kings of 2015, which is a tournament just like the King of the Ring, except you don't end up like Wade Barrett. So it's 3 versus 3 versus 3 for the trios titles. That's my pick for match of the night. In the last match of the card is the Atomic Tag Team Match of Insanity, which they do on every single card. It's going to be Daga, Mamba, who is an exotic, Mini Psycho Clown, and the other half of the Mixed Tag Team Champions, Sexy Star, taking on Drago, Dinastia, who is the Minis Champion, Pimpinella Escarlata, and Goya Kong, who is basically another Awesome Kong sort of knockoff. And, well, AAA, go check it out. Triple Mania is, from our time of recording, it's tomorrow. But I don't know when this is going up, so go check it out if it already aired. Oh, man. That's not it. But speaking of Lucha Libre, we had Ultima Lucha not long ago. Yaz, I know you love Ultima Lucha. What are your thoughts of the big show?
Oh man, like maybe with the exception of WrestleMania, and it's a big maybe, probably the best show of the year. Just absolute from top to bottom. Just every match on the card delivered, except fucking Blue Demon versus Tejano. And like, I would be okay with it if it wasn't Blue Demon. Like, I get it. You're 50 years old. Stop putting yourself over.
It's insane, man. Kermit, have you followed Lucha Underground by any chance?
No, I have heard a lot of good things about it though, and but no, unfortunately, I have not followed very much.
Oh man, you're missing out. Then when you hear this, hopefully it'll hook you.
I know.
They're trying to get on Netflix right now, so.
Yeah, I saw that. I know that there was a big twist of some sort with the Pentagon Junior match.
Oh, we'll get to that. It is awesome. Alrighty then, so I'm gonna start breaking this down because Lucha Underground was actually 2 shows. The Ultima Lucha show. The first show was last week, and it starts with all the stories leading up to that show. We also recap Black Lotus. This is a hell of a storyline that has gone all season long. Dario lets her know that his brother did not kill Lotus's family. He says that his dad exploited Matanza, which is the name of Dario's brother. But the real killer is none other than Dragon Azteca, who is basically this masked dude who kicks off the entire show. Lotus then starts punching the wall, because that's what you do in a cell. One thing I gotta point out, how crazy is it that Big Dick Johnson is the guy who's been writing all this stuff?
Yeah, like, the writing team just does a great job, but the fact that Big Dick Johnson is on that writing team, it's nuts.
He's the head writer. Kermit, if I told you it was the same guy who was dancing on a diaper in front of the Miz, what would you think?
Oh my gosh. Oh man. It's pretty incredible because I've heard nothing but praise about Lucha Underground, and to go from Chip and Dale to that, it's pretty great.
So now you know the fat Chip and Dale's the guy who's been behind all this. The commentators welcome us. They run down the car and all that. Matt Stryker has extremely stupid looking hairdo, something out of the 50s maybe. I don't know. Looks dumb. The temple has been decorated with posters for the matches of the show, which really makes it stand out because it's usually just dirty stuff all over the wall. And we kick off with the first match of Ultima Lucha. It's the Mac versus the Machine. The Machine is Brian Cage. They start brawling on the top of the closet where Fenix was tossed into before Cage T-bones Mac onto the bleachers. Mac spears Cage through the closet, and the fans pretty much treat it as if it was ECW with all the chants and all that. Cage grabs a board and smashes it through the Mac's back. The match keeps going down the stairs, and eventually the Mac grabs beers, pops them on Cage's face, and then hits a stunner, complete with the mocking, the middle fingers, and everything. And the fans just lose their minds at the Stone Cold tribute. Awesome stuff, but it only gets 2. Cage now sells a bottle to the back of his head. Suck on that, James Storm. Sorry about that. A power bomb off the table gets onto a table. Gets 2 for the Mac. The fans are going crazy. Vampiro says he has to take a shower because he's disgusting. The 2 keep fighting. They go to the top of Dario's office, where Cage grabs a cinder block, smashes the Mac's head through it to win the match. Crazy stuff. Yaz, what'd you think of the match?
Yeah, and all that took place in about 10 minutes. Like, it was a very quick, very hard hitting brawl. The one thing I really liked about it, and I'm kind of borrowing from KB's review here a bit, but it's a Falls Count Anywhere match, so why even get in the ring? They never, like, the only spot they did was on the turnbuckle on the outside of the ring. They never once actually got inside. So that was a very interesting concept. They used the environment in the temple very well. And as much as I like the Mac, I just like his character. I'm glad that Cage went over. He's had a pretty decent build for Lucha Underground. And, he's going into the co-main event of Triple Mania. So having him go over makes him appear that much stronger.
Yeah, they did a good job. The cinder block though thing, I've hated to use the cinder blocks. These things are extremely hard. You crack someone's head, it's gonna explode.
Yeah, like he absolutely like just curb stomped him through the cinder block.
Yeah, I saw a gif of that spot and it was sick.
Yeah, just never liked that kind of stuff. The match itself was just awesome. Anyway, we keep going. We run down the card for next week's show, and then we have Team Havoc, which is Ivelisse, Son of Havoc, and Angelico against the Disciples of Death. They are called Siniestro de la Muerte, which means the Sinister One of Death. Trece, which means 13. And the last one is Barrio Negro, which translates to Black Ghetto. That's a hell of a name. So we start with brawling, which seems to be the theme of the whole show. Ivelisse, of course, can't do much because he's got a broken foot, and that's a legitimate injury. Havoc and Angelico go flying all over the place after the Disciples. Eventually, one of them grabs Ivelisse and locks her in the Brock lock, but he's got the wrong leg. I don't know what that was all about. Eventually, Stryker starts pitching Ultima Lucha moment because he's idiot fanboy most of the time. And then Angelico dives like maybe 25, 30 feet off the top of a closet onto all the Disciples, and Katrina just looks completely stone-faced. The match keeps going. She gets into the ring and she raises her magic stone. Kermit, if I told you a magic stone can revive people in a wrestling ring, would you believe me?
Sure.
Well, that's what happens here. Basically, she raises this magical stone. The Disciples of Death get up, and they finish off Ivelisse for the win and the new Trios champions. That one match with the one spot with Angelico was amazing, and the match though wasn't really much. But you've got a girl with a broken foot. There's not much you can do there. Yaz, what'd you think of that match?
Yeah, like you said, there wasn't a whole lot they could do because of Ivelisse's injury. I think they did a decent job of protecting her with a lot of brawling on the outside with the Disciples of Death. Angelico was like dive from the top of the closet all the way to the outside. Like you said, it covered a good chunk of ground, and I think he hurt himself on that dive too because they cut the camera really quickly. So he either hurt himself or he said a bad word. But there was a moment where I actually thought that the Disciples of Havoc were going to win when Ivelisse crawled into the ring and threw her crutches aside to take on Katrina, but that damn stone to Ivelisse's head sealed.
Yeah, she got clocked with that thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kermit, these guys were killed and brought back to life. This is the kind of show this is.
So it's what I've gathered then is a mixture of not just wrestling, but also kind of like the overarching story and like more mythological.
Yeah, there's a lot of myth going on. There's like Aztec gods involved.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we'll get to the 7 medallions later, and oh boy, that's a hell of a story. But right now we got to move on from Hernandez taking on a dragon. Drago is his name. And the first thing the commentators point out when the fans come down, because it's called, what was it called? Believers Backlash, which is literally what TNA did with Fans Revenge, which was really ironic because of Hernandez's situation. But anyway, the fans come down, they've got straps in their hands. First thing the commentators do is point out these guys are actually hand-picked workers and even call them by their names. Like, hey, this guy did this podcast, he works backstage and all that. Like, you idiots, you're supposed to pretend they're fans. The match start, and if Hernandez were just so stupid, he'd be a hell of a draw, because dude does a hell of a job here. Then Finn Balor's wet dream enters second, because Drago is just awesome. That look he has. Kermit, have you ever seen Drago?
I have not.
Google him. He is awesome. You're going to freak out the moment you see this guy.
Let's see. Of course, immediately the Russian from Rocky comes up.
No, wait. Trade the... Crap, what the hell? G. D-R-A... Geo.
Oh, that's pretty sick.
Yeah, that's Drago.
It's like he has like full armor and everything.
He's got bat wings and everything. Like, there's an episode where he's basically literally being Batman.
Really?
Yeah.
Is he face or heel?
He's a baby face.
Okay.
Very awesome one.
He's a little scary.
Yeah, he's actually pretty old too. He's like 45.
Nice, 40.
Somewhere around there. Anyway, the match goes, and one thing I noticed was that apparently Hernandez sweats bleach or something because he's got the bandana marked on his face.
Yeah, I noticed that too. It was really odd.
Yeah, the first time he gets off the ring, he gets whacked straight in the face with the leather belt. But basically, that's the story of the match. Hernandez gets out, he gets whacked. Drago gets out, the fans help him. Hernandez tosses Drago onto the fans. He tries to suicide dive, but when he's jumping, Drago busts out the mist. The good old Tajiri mist right to his face. And then Hernandez goes hiding under the ring as if he were Hornswoggle. And then Drago pulls off nunchucks. This is actually a gimmick from AAA. He always came out with nunchucks, so now he's busting him out here in the ring. And he beats the crap out of Hernandez with the nunchucks. Breaks him, then splashes him through a table, and then does it again in the ring to get the win. And that's the end of the first night of Lucha Underground's Ultima Lucha. Yaz, what you think of this crazy little match?
I enjoyed it. I'm not a huge fan of Hernandez. I've just never really cared about him. But he did a pretty good job in his role in the match. They did do a little bit of like little guy, big guy psychology because, you know, Hernandez is like 6'4", 280, and Drago is not very big. And like when Drago tried to slam him, Hernandez just kind of shook him off. I enjoyed that spot. And like you said, the nunchucks were just awesome. And I couldn't help but enjoy it when Hernandez would turn around and beat the crap out of the fans and got his little moment in before Drago would come back and kick his ass.
It was a pretty sweet match. The show, though, ends with Dragon Azteca and the kid from the very first episode of the show who he saved. And he tells me, oh, you can't go into the temple because there's a prophecy and you will die if you go into the temple. But Azteca doesn't give a shit. He goes in anyway.
Let's go crazy!
Well, Kermit have to leave, so we're going to keep going with night two. Night two starts off with a nice dedication to the original Rudo as he's billed, Roddy Piper. That's very classy on them.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so night two opens with the epic recap of all the storylines going into tonight, including Dario claiming Dragon Azteca killed Lotus's parents. And we've got Michael Schiavello from K1 and Strikeforce and MMA and all that. He's subbing for Vampiro tonight. And I got the impression this dude sounds a lot like Hugo Savinovich. So that was a plus for me. Matt then gives a shout out to Perro Aguayo for another nice touch. Very classy here tonight. And then we go to Mundo versus El Patron. And Mundo comes out. I don't know if you noticed it, Yas, but he had Shawn Michaels' red colors on.
Yeah.
He even does the little kick Shawn Michaels does when he's up on the apron getting into the ring. Which has been one hell of an homage to the program that these two have been doing. The match starts with El Patron just beating the other shit out of Mundo on the outside. According to Matt Striker, Mundo then gets under the ring and somehow grabs enough dirt in his hand to have a full handful of dirt and throw it into the face of Alberto. That's a very dirty ring.
The temple's a dirty place.
Yeah, it's exaggerated. They need to call Doña Consuela or something.
Call Derek Jacobs.
Derek Jacobs, yeah. So he can clean house with Doña Consuela. You need something? We need more lemon pledge.
Lemon plates.
Yeah, but Alberto even busts out a reverse DDT off the top rope. Nice back and forth between the guys for a good while. Alberto tunes up the band like Shawn Michaels, which is actually something he's been doing for a good while. And then Mundo counters with a pedigree. What's with all these tributes to DX? They keep going with the back and forth. Nothing too great for a good while, but it's getting a hell of a reaction out of the crowd. Great camera work and all that, especially when Alberto super kicks the ref. The camera was right there to catch it. Then Melina shows up, and speaking of marbles, she had huge marbles here.
She did.
They were humongous. She clocks Alberto with the mega title to give Johnny Mundo his big major win, even though he's not winning a title. Which, now that I think about it, given that Triple Mania was literally a couple of days later, this should have been the main event of Triple Mania. It would have been awesome. But yeah, Mundo gets his big win. Not that it matters, because Alberto then just beats the piss out of Mundo and throws him through a glass door, and then spanks Melina. Just great stuff. Yeah, so what'd you think of the match?
It was pretty good. I know a couple of days before the show, Mundo did an AMA over on Reddit, and he said that the match between he and El Patron was his favorite match ever. So I probably went into it believing it was going to be the best match of all time. So I was a little disappointed that it wasn't that, but I enjoyed it for what it was. Mundo has been my guy since day one. I can't help but root for my fellow gringo, so I'm happy he picked up the victory. And the aftermath was good as well, because it got El Patron his heat back. He got a payback on Mundo, throwing him through the glass window, and Mundo bled everywhere.
Yeah, he was a mess.
But
I can see why he said it was such an amazing match. It really did work well. They really worked the crowd really well and all that.
The crowd really was into it, especially at the beginning when Mundo spent the first 2 or 3 minutes just running from Patron.
Yeah, under the ring and all that.
Yeah.
So I get why he said it. Although I think his match with The Miz at January 4th Raw, I think it was better.
Morrison's had some good matches, be it under Mundo or Morrison. I've always felt he's been a very underrated talent, and I'm glad that he found a home in Lucha Underground. I feel like it's really the place for him to be.
Yeah, if I were to compare it to the All Night Long match with Prince Puma, I think that one was better, though.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That was just amazing stuff.
Yeah, honestly, that's probably my match of the year.
Yeah, so we go backstage with our fancy videos, and we see Dragon Azteca gets at the temple, and Black Lotus ends up turning on him, and then palm thrusts him in the back and breaks his spine, killing him. And this is where, remember in TNA when James Storm threw Mickey James down train tracks? How ridiculous that came off?
Yeah.
Well, here it's pretty clear it's a TV show, so this kind of stuff doesn't sound so insane. And that's the big difference between the two companies.
Yeah, you definitely feel as though, something as ridiculous as a palm thrust to the upper back area, killing a guy. In theory, it sounds ridiculous, but it wasn't. It didn't come off as goofy.
Yeah, the tone is set for this kind of stuff, so it does fit in. And speaking of insane stuff, now we get it. It's Pentagon Jr. versus Vampiro. Pentagon comes out rocking a Paraguayo tribute shirt. Vampiro comes out dressed up like Pope Francisco. I'm guessing he's trying to be as fun as the Pope.
I was digging that Dark Pope.
Yeah, it looked pretty cool. Michael says Vampiro hasn't wrestled in a decade, but that's actually not true. Last time he wrestled was in 2012, and it was actually on the debut of Pentagon Jr., the same show. So there's something pretty interesting. Just to add to the interesting... Something else to edit out.
Gross.
Sucks to be sick. Just to add another little tidbit of trivia. Back when Vampiro was still active, he was tag team champion with a wrestler by the name of Joe Leader. And now Pentagon Jr. is AAA tag team champion with Joe Leader. Same guy. So so that's your tribute for the week. going into the match, most people don't get pushed like Pentagon. This guy has just been on a rocket for the past 3 years, so it's pretty cool to see what they're doing here. They brawl all over the temple. I just remembered something about Vampiro. When you remember when they brought out the Gift of Gods title, and Dario starts putting the medals into the belt. They just stick because, well, they're magnets, right?
Yeah.
And Vampiro freaks out. This is some sort of magic. What is this? And then it dawned on me. He's a juggalo.
He is a juggalo.
He doesn't know how magnets work. So that was a hell of an inside joke. But the match itself is just insane. Pentagon clobbers Vampiro with concertos until the referee has to stop the match. And it looks so bad that Matt Stryker forces a commercial break. He literally orders... It's pre-taped. I don't know how they did that, but yeah, Matt orders a break. We come back, and Vampiro gets off the stretcher, and the out-of-shape, extremely battered 48-year-old hits a spin wheel kick. So that was impressive. Pentagon gets slammed onto thumbtacks. Vampiro misses a Parkinator onto the thumbtacks, the Whisper of the Wind. And then they go all CCW on us by breaking out light bulbs, and Pentagon carves Vampiro's head with it. It's pretty obvious why Vampiro's retired at this point. The dude's just limited. But Pentagon's mask is basically gone at this point. The dude is just broken up in a bloody mess. Belly to belly off the top rope is onto broken glass. That's just insane. Vampiro then goes through a flaming table, and the fire extinguisher guys actually miss him when they try to blow the fire out.
Yeah, they had to take 2 tries.
Oh my god, that was just scary as hell, because the guy was on fire for like maybe half a minute.
Yeah, it was definitely quite a bit. You know, you don't think that, 30 seconds, like, oh, it's not a big deal. But when you're on fire, yeah, fucking 30 seconds, man.
Yeah, Pentagon comes on the outside of the ring, and you actually see smoke coming out of Vampiro's back as he's getting covered. This reminded me a lot of Edge versus Mick Foley at WrestleMania 22.
Oh, yeah, with the big spear through the table.
Yeah, and a lot of people say it was a star-making match for Edge. This was a star-making match for Pentagon. This dude is money.
I definitely, Lucha Underground was the first experience I have with him, and I definitely am invested in wanting to look into him even more.
Yeah, when this dude started, he was just a mask. That was it. Then he started to paint himself more, and he started to do the whole Zero Fear deal. He got over real fast, and now we're seeing just how much they want to invest on this guy. So after the match, Vampiro yells to get his arm broken. Pentagon obliges, and then the mother of all swerves happens when Vampiro says he's Pentagon's master. This is just the kind of stuff that Vince Russo and M. Night Shyamalan wish they could come up with. That's just insane.
What a twist!
Yeah, they spent an entire, 10 months to a year building up this animosity between Vampiro and Conan, and I'm sitting there and I'm watching, I'm eating my breakfast, watching a replay of it, and I'm waiting on Conan to come out when Pentagon was asking for his master to come out, and I'm like, okay, Conan's gonna wobble out here any second now. Him and his crutch, he's gonna come out here, and it never happened. It was Vampiro the whole time, and it was a hell of a red herring. I don't know if they did it on purpose, but they definitely played up the animosity enough to where I believed that Conan was going to be the master.
Yeah, I did too. I was all over that idea. So anyway, we move on. We've got the Gift of the Gods title, which is basically the Dragon Balls of pro wrestling. Phoenix, Bengala, Sexy Star, Big Rick, King Cuerno, Aerostar, and Jack Evans. And this is basically just Big Rick beating everyone up and cleaning house constantly. Phoenix and Arrow go head to head a little bit. Then we get Evans and Cuervo, Bengala and Sexy Star. Rick cleans house again. Aerostar then goes 20 feet off a window of some sort in another big spot for the show. Sexy Star looks like she's going to take control, but then Marty the Moth shows up and starts flapping his arms like a moth. Crazy guy. But Sexy just beats the crap out of him. Rick takes over again. Cuerno then takes over and takes down then Bengala takes over. Then Jack Evans takes over. It just keeps going and over and over and over again. Daivari shows up and beats up Big Rig with a chair to take him out. Evans locks a bow and arrow with a Dragon Sleeper for a pretty fancy move, but eventually Phoenix hits the Fire Driver for the title. Yaz, what did you think of the overall match?
It was pretty much a spot fest between 7 very talented wrestlers. Like you said at the beginning, it was basically just Big Rick being 300 pounds and throwing everyone over the ropes. Aerostar's dive, though, that was like a 3-story fall. It was insane. I remember they showed him standing there, and I'm like, what the hell is he doing?
How did he even get up there?
Like, they didn't show it at all. I just remember Aerostar being thrown out of the ring at one point by Big Rick, and then, like, 5-6 minutes later, they show him standing on top of, like, this giant pillar. And I'm like, what the hell? And then the camera pans down to a couple of guys getting ready to catch him. And I'm like, there's no way he's going to make this jump. And he did it. And I wouldn't be surprised if he broke his ribs. It looked like he hit pretty hard. But I think Phoenix was the right winner. They had built him up pretty solidly during the season. And he's the only guy who, during the course of the year, who actually defeated Mil Muertes. So that definitely plays into season 2.
Yeah, I got another little Lucha Libre trivia for you. 2 brothers just won back-to-back matches.
Oh yeah, Pentagon and Phoenix are brothers, aren't they?
Yeah.
I remember reading about that when I was Wikipedia browsing one day.
Yep. Phoenix and Pentagon Jr. are brothers. And now we go to the match. Tejano Jr. versus Blue Demon.
Ugh.
Oh my god. Demon comes out with the crew, and this is basically just a big fight for who the hell is in Mexico. The running joke of the whole season. And, well, Demon literally books himself into an ODQ match. Prick. And because the shithead can't wrestle, Cisco Cortez get in right away and but who cares? Tejano beats them up and throws them out. Then Tejano proceeds to out-wrestle the shithead, meaning Cortez and Cisco need to get back in there. Chavo shows up and chair shots Tejano, then hands the chair to Blue Demon to suck up to him, and, well, the shithead wins. All hail Blue Demon.
That's about the best description you're gonna get.
Blue Demon, oh my god.
Like, I get it, you're famous, but you're fucking 50 years old. And Tejano is, like, I'm not even an avid follower of AAA, and I know how big a deal Tejano is.
Yeah, they keep building him up. The youngest AAA world champion, the longest reigning AAA world champion, and I just told you, he won a tournament this year. Why is this guy losing? He's the blue chipper of the company.
They'll play it up like as saying, oh, he lost essentially a 4-on-1 handicap match, but it's like, it doesn't matter. He lost to a 50-year-old guy.
Yeah, the 2 minutes you see him actually wrestling, he just beats the crap out of Blue Demon.
Yeah, that powerbomb he hit, like for the near fall, that was a sweet-ass fucking powerbomb.
Yeah, that's his finishing move. He hit a spinebuster first, then a powerbomb. Blue Demon had nothing to give back. Oh, man, it just pisses me off.
Like, it really did suck the wind out of what was an otherwise awesome show up to that point.
Yeah, and the end of the match, we learn who Mexico is. A selfish, fickle prick that'll forgive you if you help him stay on top. Thanks, man. But now we're set for the main event of the night because Mil Muertes versus Prince Puma for the world title. I guess you could call it world title at this point.
Yeah.
Something I noticed, Muertes walks down the stairs, which is weird because that's what babyfaces tend to do at this point of the show.
Well, the crowd reaction was very split between the two of them. I think they just did such a good job of building up Muertes' character over the course of the season that you can't help but kind of root for him in a way. Like, yeah, he's a bad guy, but he has such an interesting backstory. That, and I feel like as awesome as Prince Puma is, him continually overcoming all the odds probably started to wear on people a bit. So I think that probably played into it.
Yeah. Oh, before the match starts, we get the announcement that Lucha Underground has a store. So if you want your merch, go to the Lucha Underground stores. The match starts with the two of them just going at it with each other. They go outside, which has been a theme all over the Ultimate Lucha special. Muertes gets hit with a shoe. I think a fan threw it or Puma grabbed it. Then Puma gets thrown into a row of wooden chairs. Puma comes back with a 450 kick, rebounding off the apron because he's just that amazing. Muertes power bombs Puma onto wooden ring stairs. And this is just a crazy brawl all over the place. They call Muertes a towering big man, but, meeting the guy in person, he's about as tall as me, 6 feet, maybe 250 pounds. He's not really that big. The Puma then hits a GTS for a 2 count. Muertes gets the heat on Puma, and eventually he comes back with what Michael calls a Yokogiri kick. This dude's just been awesome. Yas, I don't know if you noticed the commentary this guy's been bringing. He's just been all over with awesome.
I enjoyed his presence. I noticed that he didn't, not necessarily break character, but one of the problems I felt like with Vampiro is too often he would just fall into, yeah, kick his ass, bro. Like, that was the Vampiro commentary for the night.
Hook the leg, brother.
Yeah. So he was definitely a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, and the voices was just awesome. His accent.
Yeah, his accent's great.
No wonder people love this guy so much. I noticed they call Neville the man Gravity forgot. Puma just flips off Gravity, though.
Yeah, like, there's nothing, and he does it so flawlessly each time. Yeah. It's simply amazing.
Yeah, but Muertes gets the comeback. He hits a spear to Puma through the ropes onto the table outside, literally out of Big E's playbook. Then he power bombs him onto the leftovers. Yeah, I love it when Big E does that spot, but it's
so good.
It looks pretty dangerous though.
Yeah, you imagine a near 300-pound guy spearing someone through the ropes with both of them landing flat on the canvas outside. Probably not the safest move in the world.
Yeah. Muertes hits the mother of all choke slams. Puma makes a comeback with a series of rather improbable looking kicks. He hits the 630 senton, and Muertes kicks out of it. That's the first time someone kicks out of the 630. Then Puma gets the comeback. He kicks out of Muertes' straight to hell finisher, the flatliner. Another move that's been really well protected all year long, and it's paying off here. So good job, Lucha Underground. It's obvious. Puma and Muerte fight on the top rope, and eventually Muertes hit another straight tail. This one from the top rope. The camera actually shakes on impact on the ground, and Muertes gets the win in the title. This was just awesome, especially that ending with the camera work.
Yeah, the camera work was great. Like, I was watching it, and I was like, did my screen mess up? And I rewound it about a minute and a half, and I'm like, oh no, that actually the camera was shaking. That's awesome.
Yeah, it shakes on impact. It's just the match, not the best match of the overall season, but damn it was another great match. This show is just all over with great matches. Just phenomenal. Then Katrina celebrates with all the new champions, Mil Muertes and the Disciples. and we get our big conclusion of the season. We see Lotus and Cueto backstage packing. They say they're gonna take Matanza with them, and before they leave, Dario comes back and he grabs that little Red Bull of his. Not
Yeah,
to
that was a
forget.
funny moment.
Yeah, then we see Phoenix getting on a Pontiac Trans Am with his new title. Why the hell was this guy not riding a Phoenix though? Like a literal Pontiac Phoenix.
I don't know. Good call.
That's a
I
weird
didn't think
one.
about that until just now.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's since it had the Firebird tattooed on it, but
Yeah, I figured that's probably was good enough for them.
Yeah, they went with the Trans Am. I guess it was a much better looking car. Kid Cuerno was right behind him on his pickup truck, though.
Yeah, I heard Cuerno.
Yes.
I'm very invested in the Cuerno character. He put on some very good matches over the season, including that awesome cage match with Mundo.
Yeah, this dude is just phenomenal. He's a completely different character, AAA, with the the Phantasma character.
I have to check that out.
Yeah, he's basically the two sides of Randy Orton. In AAA, he's the arrogant second generation guy, and here he's just the methodical, slow killer. So that's a really cool dynamic he has. Then we get Marty the Moth, who captured Sexy Star, and he reveals he is the lost son of Bray Wyatt and Kevin Owens. That is basically what he does. He's got the looks. He looks just like Kevin Owens. He's got the lamp. He acts like Bray Wyatt.
The rocking back and forth was kind of creepy.
Exactly. He says he's got a sister he's going to show Sexy Star to. I'm guessing it's Sister Abigail. So
Would
yeah.
that be something?
Yeah. Kidnapping going on here. You see Team Havoc. They're about to ride off, saying they're going to get the titles back. We see Drago saying goodbye to Aerostar. Drago disappears in a burst of flames. We even hear the dragon sound effect.
Yeah.
Then Aerostar flies off by shooting sparks out of his ass.
It was cheesy, but it worked.
Like if he's Iron Man or something. We even hear rocket sound effects. I gotta believe this guy has just a huge rib on Conan. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Max Moon gimmick.
Yeah, I remember Max Moon back in like when Shawn was Intercontinental Champion in that era of WWF.
Well, it was supposed to be Conan, and he had sparks on his boots and all that.
He shot like streamers out of his wrists.
Aerostar is basically Max Moon. It's gotta be a rib. This is just crazy. Yeah, finally we get Pentagon asking Vampiro what's next for the two of them, and Vampiro shows up clutching his arm. Because, you gotta sell, brother. Then we finally end things with the Kid from the start of the whole show, putting on a Dragon Azteca's mask, and he paints a question mark on the Lucha Underground sign. Dario stands still in a really cool final shot as the whole temple just shuts off behind him, and this creepy smile out of him. And then finally, to be continued. Yes, this was awesome.
It was fucking amazing.
Just, we cannot stop singing the praises of this stuff. This was just amazing, amazing television, and it was wrestling. Oh,
Yeah, it felt more like the wrestling, like, not necessarily took a back seat, but the storylines that they presented were just so well written that you got very invested in the characters, that you actually cared more about them once they stepped foot in the rings.
yeah. The backstage stuff, just the way it's shot too. I mean, how cheesy does it sound that a guy just bursts into flames and another one flies off Iron Man style? But it looks so good here.
Yeah, exactly. They do think like when Mil Muertes is a guy who essentially his character is he can die and come back to life, and I don't find that corny at all because they write it so well.
Yeah, they make it plausible. They make it realistic because they let you know it's a TV show.
Yeah, they don't try to be like, oh, this is the hardest hitting brand of sports entertainment. They're like, no, man, this is a TV show. It's drama. It's action and drama. And
Just phenomenal stuff. Actually, now that I think about it, this isn't even the first time they have Mil Muertes, Ricky Banderas, be dead. In AAA, basically he was introduced in this stable of like the satanic guys, and eventually he takes over the stable. The original leader, Cibernetico, eventually comes back, shoves Ricky into a casket, and then chucks him down a volcano.
Well, that seems unnecessarily violent.
Yeah. Eventually, well, he comes back a zombie, and that's his gimmick. He's a zombie.
Wrestling in Mexico is weird.
It's amazing stuff. That's just amazing. And then in TNA, he was a zombie again.
Man, I feel like TNA had huge potential with Banderas, and they crapped on it.
Not just Banderas, like even Abyss back then. He was just phenomenal. I loved him, and they gave him that crazy feud with Sting. So much potential, TNA. Why? But yeah, that was Ultima Lucha. My throat is sore, but this was awesome. Yaz, anything you want to add about how awesome Lucha Underground has been?
No, I mean, I think we pretty much covered how awesome it was. I'm very happy that they're gonna get a second season. It's just a matter of when and potentially where, as I've heard that filming from Los Angeles is kind of one of the major financial drains on them. But I definitely hope. I think I heard that the latest that they should start is January of next year. So hopefully, that's not too far off. So hopefully we get some details.
Yeah,
and hopefully get some new merch too. I definitely would buy some Lucha Underground merch if there was more than just like the one T-shirt.
Yeah, because Pentagon had his shirt. I would love to buy that.
It's an awesome shirt.
Yeah, the Paraguay tribute shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess we got nothing left to add. One last thing, I think it would be best if it did start in January, because if you remember the first season, they had like that dead period in December.
Yeah.
So
where it just kind of, not necessarily dull, but...
Yeah, they didn't air new episodes for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So if we could skip that, that would be great.
Yeah, that'd be a lot better. So hopefully they get to filming sometime soon. I'm definitely looking forward to because they did such a great job of building up season 2 storylines in the closing of season 1.
Yeah. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That was our big recap for the show. Yaz, I think we're done here.
Yeah, I think we pretty much covered everything relevant, or at least that we give a shit about.
Yep.
Mustache, mustache, mustache.